Anybody else ready to cry? I don't know about me. But hopefully it don't make me cry too bad. What do you mean and welcome, my name is Yuusha Anime and welcome to Narcissu. First and second. And what this is, surprisingly guys, is it's a surprise let's play from me. I've wanted to play it for a little while. It's been in my library for a long time and I've never touched it. So I'm going to try and see if I can meld it into my normal recordings so we can have a little extra game to enjoy. So guys, if you're going to join me on this emotional roller coaster, let's go. Okay, I've got a... Okay, Narcissu first it is. Oh. Abgilish. I'll choose that one. Voiced. Yeah, let's go voiced. Okay. 2001, 31,042, 32,143, 34. Oh, okay. Spring 1996, Setsumi. Even so, I attended elementary school like all the others, and during summer breaks, I often played until I was utterly tanned. June, shortly after my entry into middle school. The day after I'd ordered a swimsuit for use the next month. My first hospitalization. Oh god. On a day just before the first semester of midterms, on a day when the first drops of rain were so cruelly cold. Falling from amidst the pure white of the overcast sky. Of course, the first time it happened, all my classmates came to visit me almost every day. And when I was released, they even came to my house on weekends to play. But that was only the first time round. Autumn into winter, winter into spring, a vicious cycle. Hospitalization, release, clinics, and hospitalization again. And before I knew it, even the classmates I once called friends turned into acquaintances. And then into strangers. As if they were changing seasons. I was being erased from their collective memory. No, it wasn't. I don't think they could just face to see it like this. No, you're not. Gotta say, the window's surprisingly small in this. Oh. Stage Nana, Volume 24. Early Summer 2004 Protagonist. Okay, this is me then. 8 years later, Early Summer 2004 Protagonist. Okay, is that me? Summer, flowing sweat. The gigantic electronic scoreboard in the driver's license examination facility. Lit up all at once. My eyes and everyone else looked for our respective numbers. I wonder if I'm a guy or a girl though. Probably most likely a guy, but I'm still curious. 237, 237. And of some 8 columns of lit text, sure enough. Sure enough, my examination number was shining in the midst. Clickety clack. Okay, that's a train. A nearby empty train car, perhaps thanks to the beautiful afternoon. Almost alone in that train car, I was heading back home from the examination hall. My left hand held a new traffic regulations handbook, and my breast pocket held my brand new driver's license. So now I've gotten a license as well. I muttered somewhat happily, but there were no strong feelings behind it. I never particularly wanted to drive a car. I never particularly had any motive for it. It was just that my colleagues in the Technical Institute both recommend that I at least get a driver's license. That night, when I told my parents that I got my license, they merely replied with an IC. Oh. And when I asked if I could borrow a car for just a test run, they instantly and curtly just said just one thing. No. God damn! While I didn't really want to drive the car or anything, the response was all too expected. Those are my parents for you. The next day I woke with chest pain and went to the hospital. Wait, am I the girl? Sickness and I genuinely had nothing to do with each other. Which is generally why I found the ER room waiting to be utterly boring. Oh! Okay, so I'm most likely a guy then. And just when I thought they were through examining me, they ordered an x-ray and some blood tests. Then they left. And again I was left waiting for a long time. I'd already polished off 3 volumes of Shonen Jump and was just about to start on the 4th when they admitted me to the hospital right then and there. And it seemed that my new license, which will stay snugly in my breast pocket. Why do I have a feeling that that driver's license is going to prove so much handy later on? We'd have to wait a long time for its turn to come. Am I going to be seated next to the girl? Spring and autumn, okay. We're in the autumn time now. Protagonist, autumn 2004. Right around when the all too noisy deciders have finally gone silent. I once again found myself in a hospital as per usual. Of course, it wasn't as if I'd been there the entire time. I came and went, a futile cycle. My first surgery was a month before, and after that, I started doing the 5-minute commute to and from the hospital by moped. And from then on, I was hospitalised, discharged, ordered to clinic, and hospitalised again and again and again. Wow, I'm no better than the girl. While I still had no clue what PET ERESA stood for in no time at all, several months had already passed. As my appetite decreased, my medications increased. I could feel my own physical strength atrophying. I keep imagining that my legs were getting thinner. But the needle of the weight scale rudely informed me it's not just your imagination. And yet I kept looking on at myself with detached interest. As if it were happening to somebody else entirely. As if I were looking at a scene on TV or the like. My mind could not grasp what had so suddenly happened to my body. Nothing within me was telling me that this was real at all. And that's why, even though it was all happening to me, I kept looking on as if it were happening to someone far away. Alright, now it's winter. A day of the winter, around when the Christmas trees have vanished from the streets. I was discharged home as a kid of years in treat. It seemed like an exercise in total transience, but still it made me slightly happy. I travelled back to a home I had not seen in a long time in the midst of a freezing rain. Strangely enough, my entire family was there. My parents, who had never so much talked to me, came out to meet me, if with terribly stilted smile. Stilted. And my little sister, with whom I'd never had a pleasant word, had made my favourite cream stew and fried shrimp just for me. Oh. They made me sit at the table, they peeled tangerines for me, they were cruelly kind. It was an impressive display. At this point, a little thought occurred to me about my new driver's license, which is still stuffed away in my pocket. Well, we're going back to the driver's license already. That perhaps things would end for the license without ever having known any issue. And surrounded by a trio of stilted, strange smiles, I keep that thought as if it was someone else's business, with dispassion, ambiguity, and total disinterest. January 2005. Bloody hell, we're going through the years, aren't we? A new year began and I returned to the hospital. But on this day, instead of my usual 4F room, I ended up in a conference room of sorts. They took me there. And then my father and the doctors had a little talk. I joined in. Well, they talked to me. Well, yeah, they would usually do that if they have something to tell you. So this was their so-called announcement. They said it was a terribly roundabout fashion, but they told me that I was going to die. Oh, God. Okay, that escalated really quickly. I see. That was my only reply. I had no other words. It was the only thing that left my mouth from beginning to end. And the doctor's ballpoint pens flew across paper as if in response to my words. Those were probably hospice enrolment procedures, business-like to the last. My father was the same. So it's this simple? Was the only real thought I had? That day I was transferred from 4F to 7F, from a 6-person room to a private room. It was a little different from the other wards, this 7F. First of all, the floors are sparkling clean. But second of all, the ceilings was higher than I'd ever seen it. The rooms were very nice, and had large windows from which the warm daylight streamed in as if by design. But the windows only opened a little, of course, because they want to try and prevent suicides with that. I tested them out, and my head would just barely fit out of one. The colour of my ID bracelet had changed as well. The bracelet that I had worn ever since that first hospitalisation, the one that had my name and blood type recorded on it, its colour had now changed from blue to white. A high ceiling, a white vinyl bracelet, a window that would not open more than 15 centimetres. TV programs celebrating this new year were still playing when I transferred to this 7F. Oh wow, so I even missed New Year's. And it was at the dawn of that very year that I met her for the first time. Yay, we're gonna meet the girl! Where is she?
Narcissus.
Narcissus. Wow, I pronounced it wrong. Narcissus.
7階
Anakai, yep. And the 7th floor. There was this place, kind of like a lounge at one side of the corridor, across from the nurses' station. This generally deserted place held a few couches and chairs, as well as a large TV. Stupid programs commemorating the new year were still being broadcast on that 28-inch screen. And there was a girl who looked absolutely bored watching that absolutely boring TV. Short, pink pyjamas, a white bracelet on her wrist, just like mine. Impressively long hair that almost reached down to her hips. Hey, do you find that interesting? There was no deep purpose in asking, simply. I had nothing else to do, so I started talking to her.
別に
Was her only reply to me. She didn't turn to face me at all. She kept looking on with boredom at that TV as if I didn't even exist. Then don't watch it. Even as I thought this, I sat down in a chair next to her. And side by side we watched TV. Nothing else to do. Nothing we could do. Wow, this is getting depressing real fast. God damn. So we sat there silently and watched TV. New Year's celebration programs as per usual. A useless array of comedians and oddities. And every so often the NC's stupid shrill laughter resounded dryly in this white sun-drenched lounge.
ねえあなた
Oh. The girl suddenly started talking to me, but her eyes were always glued to the TV screen.
あなた何回目
What do you mean by that?
ここに7階に来たの
Sorry, I have no clue what you're talking about.
そう初めてなんだね
Yep. So she'd seen my confusion about her question and come to the right conclusion.
じゃあ他に誰もいないし私の役目だから
Duty?
そういうルールなの
Oh? Nodding slightly, she explained that the rule was someone here, 7F, should tell newcomers the truth. I knew nothing. I understood even less. And as if I did not even exist, she slowly started her speech.
それじゃあよく聞いてね
Okay. Jots. Her words spoken methodically, one by one, were a little different from all the ones I'd heard from the doctors about this place. In their business-like crisp syntaxes, they told me this is a place where one waits for medical advances. No, it's not. This is a place where one heals one's heart. And perhaps they might have been correct in a general sense. But according to the girl, that was just a party line. Yep. Truth was that the 7th floor was the only place in the hospital where medical treatments did not take place. This is just a place where you wait for your life to come to an end. Those are her words to me. I thought so as well. I'd felt it even before she'd spoken.
私2回目だから
It's her second time. Second time doing what?
ここに来るの
Then she explained to me that nobody on 7F stayed here from initial hospitalization all the way until death. While there was zero possibility of being cured, you were sent home if your condition was stable. But if it worsened again, you would be returned here. That cycle ended only in death. Whether it was home or here on 7F, always one of the two you were going to die. No way to escape it seemed. And with that meaning permitting her every word, she informed me that this was her second time up here. I've got to say, I love the music. God damn it, it's strong though.
じゃあ 一度しか言わないから、ここからはよく聞いて。
Okay. She continued speaking, all the while staring at the blank TV screen. This wasn't idle chit-chat about when lights out was, or where the kitchen was, or anything like that. This was something completely different. The third time you are discharged home, resign yourself. There won't be a fourth time. You will never go home again. If you ever want to escape, head toward the B station, not the A station. Eat nothing. That is the simplest shortcut. You leave the smallest burden on your family that way. It was this she packed to the brim with mats like those. God damn! Don't eat anything. She's starving herself so that she dies sooner. God damn! This was probably an oral tradition, relevant only to those who are going to die, and kept by those who came here for that purpose. So is this the duty that you were talking about?
そうよ。いつかあなたも初めて来た人には伝えてね。
With those words, she slowly stood up. She casually tossed her long hair as it grazed my nose.
じゃあ検温の時間だから。
Don't I have a picture of the girl yet? Then she turned her back and started walking down the corridor. Now completely deserted, save for me. The lounge held only the laughter from the TV and the white flowers by the windowsill. In the end, she didn't even look at me once. Protagonist, okay, it's January. A few days later. New Year celebrations were over, and the middle and high school students were beginning a new term. And just as ever, she and I sat in this lounge, staring blankly at the TV. This is boring.
そうね。
So we said, but both of us kept our eyes on the screen. Hey, is this place always this way?
質問の意味がわからない。
Ah, I'm getting at how it's always deserted. Other than the nurses, doctors and help staff, and other than her, I've not seen a single person. Did everybody go home for the New Year or something?
その理由を知りたいの？
They're dead. Well, I didn't mean...
じゃあ言わない。
We who disinterestedly tossed back and forth this exchange that could not even be called a conversation. No, it's like statements. A slight breeze coming from the window that would not open more than 15 centimeters. From time to time her hair would sway, and as if in agreement, the flowers at the windowsill would too. This is how we killed time day after day, staring at that boring, good-for-nothing TV. Click, click, click. Oh, hello. Oh, here are the two of you are. Oh, it's an elderly nurse. Oh, it's the she. Oh, here's where the two of you are. An elderly nurse said as she rushed towards us. From what I've seen of the nurse's station, she was apparently the charge nurse of 7F. Well, Miss Setsumi, any fever?
大丈夫。出てない。
Setsumi. So that was her name. You really shouldn't be moving around like this. Do you understand? Everyone's worried about you.
別にいいよ。
Come now, what kind of answer is that? Oh, children these days. The nurse continued to scold and henpeck for some while longer. And the girl named Setsumi just pretended not to notice it at all. She simply stared straight forward at that boring TV, paying that fussy nurse as little heed as she could. I'll be coming later to draw some blood, okay? With those words, the charge nurse went back to the nurse's station. No. Hey, no. Well, mind if I call you Setsumi? As I stared at her white vinyl ID bracelet, and at the blood type and the name written there. For God's sake. Everyone needs to stop calling me, god damn it. And at the blood type and name written therein. Is something the matter, Sesame?
どうして呼び捨てなの？
Huh?
年下のくせに。
Wait, I'm younger than her? Hey, why am I younger than you?
別に。そう思っただけ。
Actually, how old are we? It wasn't that I was offended that she called me younger than her. It was just that no matter how I looked at it, I thought she was 5-6 old. I thought I was 5-6 years older than she was. That's why I took out my driver's license from my breast pocket and handed it directly to her. See, I might not seem it, but I'm 20.
やっぱり年下よ。
I'm younger? She only took a glance at my license before handing it back to me. I don't really get what you're saying.
どうでもいいじゃない。少し上なだけよ。
God damn, I'm only 20, she murmured and as expressionlessly as ever. Her eyes were fixed on that boring TV all night. All right. But it also felt as if she was gazing at something far away. After they'd taken my AM vital signs, I snuck past the nurses and boarded the elevator. When I got to 1F, walked out the outpatient clinic doors and walked outside of the hospital. What's going on? My goal was the place that I had been told about not long ago. The faraway B station and not the nearby A station. It wasn't that I wanted to escape or anything. A 7F4 at home. None of us died anywhere else. That's what I'd been told. At this B station, which this girl named Sesame had apparently been to many times. That's why at least once. Just once. I wanted to see this place with my own eyes. It's not as if there's going to be a garden duty. Even so, we were inhabitants of 7F, different from other patients. And thinking of vague maybes, so early in the morning I headed toward the station. My legs settled into a lazy gait as I glanced sidelong at the people commuting to school or work. After about 25 minutes of this, I arrived in front of the station, roughly 4 bus stops away when I calculated it out. Wow, there were a lot of people here. It was my first impression of the B station. I stood up a bit because I was in pyjamas. But I felt that if I could just buy a subway ticket, I'd be able to go anywhere. No question about it. I still had no idea why I'd been told to go to the B station, not the A station. But it looked as if it would be easy to escape if I really wanted to. She must have come here many times herself, so why did she remain on 7F right now? The station in the early morning. I stood there thinking these thoughts as I watched the people rapidly passing me by. At night, after lights out, bored of manga and unable to sleep, I wandered through the hospital alone. Certainly it wasn't supposed to be allowed after lights out, but we of 7F had a peculiar kind of liberty. So in the presence of no light, in the pitch black stillness, of the lounge, that was where I found her. Hey, have you been looking outside today? The darkened interior. She did answer me, but she continued to stare at the window as if she had not. I immediately launched into what happened today. Oh, by the way, I went out to the station today. The B station, just as you taught me.
So,
But her response did not change. I thought that she would react with something because she'd been there before too. But now that I thought about it, did the fact that she was here mean that she had no intention of escaping in the first place?
私、もうすぐ帰れるの。
Oh, what? She opened her mouth abruptly, and spoke as if she had seen right through me.
でも、次で3回目だから、もう会えないかもね。
What? Yeah, I guess. Probably what she was talking about was a temporary discharge from the hospital. She told me that nobody was discharged from 7F more than 3 times. Unlike the elderly, given the programs of our diseases, this meant all the more to young people like us. How we may not see each other again was filled with that kind of meaning.
ね。あなたはどちらを選ぶの？
What do you mean? Decided on?
どっちで死ぬつもりってこと？
Oh god. When that word death came out so abruptly, I was at a total loss of words. I didn't even think that would come out of her mouth. I don't know. I haven't thought about it yet.
そう。まだ1回目だもんね。
Oh god, this is bringing my mood down dramatically, she murmured, looking desolate. Certainly it wasn't as if I was going to exist here forever. Just like everyone else, I'd be admitted and discharged, slowly grow weak, and someday I'd have to choose in the end. Here on 7F, or at home surrounded by those fake smiles.
私は家は嫌。だけど、ここも嫌。
Oh, am I gonna leave with her? Then what will you do?
別にどうもしない。自力で歩けるうちに どこかに行くだけ。
Somewhere? You can't be. This girl who was staying here on 7F when she could have escaped any time she wanted. When I thought of that, do you have any other place to go?
あなた、私を引き止めたいの？
What?
それとも
Yes, go with her.
一緒に
Go
ついてきたい
with
の？
her. Go with her. Please go with her. Well, no, that wasn't what I was thinking about.
じゃあ聞かないで。
Damn it. She was staring out the window as she spoke, dispassionate, not looking at me once, the same as ever. But then and just then, her usually expressionless face looked so very sad to me. I was a newcomer to 7F, just recently taught that the third discharge was the last. She was a girl who soon was to be discharged for the second time. I still do not feel anything real about what was happening to me. But would I too come to such a face someday? Yep. I'm so confused why this is so small though. That is confusing me. The rain, that morning twilight. Sometimes sleet, sometimes snow, always coming down. And I was sitting there watching TV in my usual place. 7F felt as devoid of people as it always had.
面白い。
No, completely boring. She walked to my side. Saying no more, she sat down in a chair next to me. And that was how we began watching TV on this very day as well. She was probably in the same boat as me. Nothing else to do, nothing we could do. Oh, I had never seen her respond to the TV before. Is something the matter?
別に。
Those were her usual words, but her response was anything but usual. And I looked at the screen, interested in anything that could move her so. There were nature scenes being displayed on TV, beautiful hills and dales burgeoning with trees and flowers, and a vast spread of white flowers in the midst. I remembered those flowers from somewhere. They looked very similar to the white flowers that decorated the windowsills. Could those be the same flowers? You know, the same as those over there. I pointed to the flowers by the windows as I said this.
違う。
There's something with her revolving around those flowers, isn't there? Huh? Really?
種類は同じだけど、厳密に言えば違う。
She glanced at the flowers by the window for a second, then went back to gazing at the TV. She told me that they were different, but I couldn't see a distinction between the two. And it meant nothing to me whether flowers were the same or different. What did mean something was this girl who usually never said a word more than she needed to. She was conversing in a rare form today, which was why I decided to follow along. Do you happen to know a lot about them? Flowers, Ace.
別に。
Really? But I don't see the difference. The flowers on the screen and the flowers in the vase to our side. I continued to talk as I stared vacantly at the two. Look. Are these orchids or lilies? See, they're pure white, right? She wants to talk about them. I had no interest yet. I kept trying to make conversation. But she resumed her silence soon enough. God damn it, we tried! And with her usual lack of expression, she continued staring at me at the boring TV. Staring at me, goodness me, behave me. And just when I turned back to the TV, resigned to the fact that I get nothing more out of her.
ナルキッソス。
Narcissu. What?
ナルキッソスよ。
The flowers. Oh, that's her face. Gotta admit, the eyes are a bit funny though. As she answered. She turned to face me for the first time. Her hip-length hair swaying, she pointed at the TV screen and looked at me. The ID bracelet was on her wrist. On her wrist was white, her skin white, just like the flowers on screen. And I swore I could see a tiny smile on that face that was looking at me for the first time. Oh. Oh no, I have to choose next chapter, don't I? Oh, okay, I'll keep going. January 16th, 2005. A few days later, plunging further into the depths of winter. During this time, that was the rest of the world called exam period. We were watching TV, same as ever. This is boring.
そうね。
You exchanged together They cannot even be called it. Wait, did I?
今日
Wait. Speaking of which, when is it for you? Fashion, couldn't time about me on purpose. I see, so it's today. That word that today was the temporary discharge that she'd alluded to earlier. Oh.
会えないかもね。
No. No, don't say that. Yeah, I guess that's true. Because even if she were able to be readmitted to 7F, that would be her last time. And in that time, I'd probably be discharged and readmitted myself. It didn't seem likely that things could be timed so that we could see each other again.
あなた決まった？
On where to die? About where I'm going to die? No, not yet.
そう。
She nodded somewhat sadly, the expression of someone being discharged for the second time. I still felt nothing about the situation, and I hadn't heard from the doctors about my first discharge. Come to think of it, I wondered if she had finally decided what her own answer to the dilemma would be. Ah, oh, that's the nurse.
説明支度できたわよ。
Wait, what? Oh, that's a different person. A lady came up to us with these words. This is probably her mother. She nodded slightly at me. I did not rise.
じゃあそろそろ行くけど用意はいい？うん。それでは失礼します。
She nodded slightly at me again and then turned to leave this place. She did stretch out her hand toward that girl who was likely her daughter. But the girl did not move at all. She stayed rooted in her chair even after her mother grabbed her hand.
どうかしたの？説明。少し苦しい。え？苦しいってどこが？胸？お腹？胸。ちょっと待ってなさい。すぐに先生呼んでくるから。
Oh man, this is really bringing me down. She took off in Vista slippers in a sprint towards the nurse's station. There were but two things left in this place, her and me, both in chairs. I did not know a thing about her disease or its status. The only thing I knew were courtesy of her white ID bracelet, her name was Sesame and her blood type was O. But we were inhabitants of 7F and she was older than me if just by a little. Hey, do you want to lie down over there until doctors come? I pointed at the corner of the lounge at the couch at something that I'd never seen used. I'll support your back after all. Oh, it will support your back.
別に。もう平気よ。
Saying those words and nothing more, she stood up quickly. She did not want to go with her mother. Or whoever she was. She didn't want to go, clearly. Hey, wait. Don't do anything foolish. She was already halfway down the corridor before I could finish the sentence. Nightfall after lights out. Bored of reading manga as usual, I wandered through the darkened hospital. The usual lounge now pitch dark from the absence of light. That was where I found her. Hey, so you're still here? What's up? Not feeling well again?
別に。
Was all she said when she stared at the window. So her discharge had been postponed after all. No one knew when the next chance would come, but it'll probably be weeks from now, not days. Hey, could it be that you feigned illness today? She did. Now, that probably wasn't the right way to put it. See, you couldn't say that we weren't sick all the time. What I'm saying is you didn't want to leave the hospital, did you?
意味がわからないわよ。
Because there is no afterwards for you now. Yep. But there was no answer to my question in her silence. She had asked me so many times before about where I wanted to die. And it had been that I didn't know yet. And that she didn't want to die at home or here on 7F. So you have no other place to go after all.
だったらどうなのよ。
No, nothing. This familiar lounge flooded in darkness. Her familiar stance looking out the window without so much as acknowledging my existence. This place we all called hospital had its extinguished lights in spite of the fact that it was only 11 PM or so. This was the tangent point between what was normal and what was not. On top of that, we were inhabitants of 7F. Berthed of any choice save one, death on 7F or death at home. The outside world that she was staring at from the pitch black height of 7F. The normal world. The buildings and homes were still radiant with light and the streets overflow with people going home. And although my awareness of it was still vague, I was already an inhabitant of 7F. Already an abnormal existence. There was no longer any way for me to go back to that other world, was there now? No, there isn't, sadly. My time is at a standstill. I spent so many seasons, so many white overcast skies, without the want or need to converse with anybody. At first, I would look down at the healthy kids going to school and the people walking back and forth on the streets. And when I got tired of that, I always watched TV. Nothing else to do, nothing else I could do. Even when there was snow outside the window, it was always bright and sunny inside the TV screen. A dream world, stretched out before my eyes without heat, without cold, without pain. I sought comfort from my imagination, and so I amassed a huge knowledge base. Meaningless trivia upon meaningless trivia over and over. And before I knew it, nothing that appeared on TV seemed real anymore. And in quick succession it also happened too. Books, games, and then my family. Finally I was unable to view myself as anything real. As if I was staring at scenes of another person's life. That's why I was not surprised, even when they transferred me to 7F. But if I but closed my eyes, the world would always vanish. So I thought I'd be fine, and I did as I thought. And soon enough, my second discharge from the hospital. By the time of my next admission, I'd probably be too weak to stand by myself. Wait, this is my second one? I found my own self, the one who couldn't do anything, even though she knew this to be pitiful. I found my own self, the one who had no destination to be ridiculous.
時間を止め心を止め
Wait, am I in her head at the second?
胸に大きな傷跡を作りそれでも22年も生きてきたのに哀れだと思った
January 19, 2005. 7th floor. This still hurts, not me. A few days after that, the overhanging clouds has cleared up, and an endless winter sky was in their place. I'm really drawn in by this, guys. So if I'm not speaking a lot about it, it's because I have not played a visual novel in a while that's got me this engaged in reading exactly what's going to happen, because I am very curious and I want to keep the story flowing. So sorry if I'm not saying a lot. I just want to state that now. This has got me very interested. The overhanging cloud skies had cleared up, and an endless winter sky was in their place. Oddly enough, my father had come to visit, a difficult expression on his face the entire time. But he was saying something or other about my insurance. And at that time his eyes were not unhappy until... Oh, you bastard. I had to talk to the doctors for a bit. Saying this, my father strode down the corridor, toward that dim conference room, where this had all begun, or so it seemed. My hospital room was now empty. Having enough to do now, I reached for the weekly magazines that they bought at the stands for me. And accompanying them, as ever, there were fruits and drinks as well as get-well gifts. And to one side of the basket that the fruits were piled in, right in front of the melons that I so hated. Oh, what was that? Keys? Car keys! What I saw was a set of car keys. That was the parents, wasn't it? That was the parents. The keys shone silver. These are the keys to my father's pride and joy. That coupe that he had sweated over from the upholstery on outwards. The coupe that I'd asked to borrow a long time ago, and I'd been told no without a single second's delay. And my still unused driver's license. In the breast pocket of my pajamas. I knew that driver's license would come in too much handy. Even after it had lost its chance for use that day, it remained with me waiting. As if that were its proof of life. That sounds like a can. In silence I grabbed the keys. It happened as if on impulse. I had no idea what my motives were either. I just seized them without second thought, as if I were looking at a scene on TV. And a few days' worth of meds that I had been dispensed, I stuffed those into a bag and I headed down the corridor. Am I going out? I snuck past the nurse's station and quickly strode toward the elevators. A bag in my right hand, the keys in my left. the long neglected driver's license in my breast pocket. In front of the lounge. And the next thing I saw was the girl sitting there watching TV as per usual. Staring blankly and boredly at that screen, sitting on a little foldable chair. Hey, that show any good?
そう見える
No, not at all. The all too expected exchange. Her eyes look as far away as they always had. Well then, shall we go together? Yes! I could hear you talking as I showed her the keys in my hand. See? I don't want it to be at home.
私は7回も嫌
Well then, shall we go together?
うん
Yay! With that, she stood up from her chair. Her hair swayed from her and grazed the tip of my nose. Again. And then she, too, stuffed a few days' worth of medicine in the bag. And we made to leave 7F together. I switched off that boring TV. The grating laughter at the MC was forever obliterated. Both of us in pyjamas boarded the elevator, heading down from this top floor down to 1F. At 1F, we headed not to the ER entrance, but for the outpatient clinic's entrance. Whoosh! The cold winter air struck away at our faces, all the more strong in a wide open space like the parking lot. The two of us wandered around the spacious field, looking about ourselves on ease. I'm happy, but I'm sad because I think I know what's going to happen. And after a while, we came across my father's car. Oh wow, that's nice. The silver coupe. My father's pride and joy, impeccably maintained. I immediately inserted the key and opened the door. Go ahead, get in.
分かった
Thud. I sank into the driver's seat. She was in the passenger seat, but she was so short that she'd have a hard time seeing the road. I turned the key into ignition and stepped slightly on the accelerator. Just so I had learned during training. Reassuring engine noises filtered into the cabin. I released the handbrake and then applied the clutch. Now we could go anywhere. That was our plan. Alright, let's go. She nodded slightly. Instead of replying, I shifted into second gear, and the car accelerated smoothly. Unused to the clutch, and swerving slightly, I advanced slowly.
揺れるわね
It's my first time in a car. Well, it's the first time since I got my license that I've driven a car.
そう
The exit to the parking lot was now in view, and the largest road beyond it without traffic lights. I turned onto it. Okay, I'm honking. The sound of honking car horns. Those were directed at me as I cut on into the road. Whoops. The silver coupe complained, but it did not stop as I worked the unfamiliar clutching stiff gearbox. I must really have rubbed the other drivers the wrong way, as the honking of horns did not seem likely to cease. I just continued to drive without caring much. None of it quite seemed real at all. Hey,
何
are you scared?
怖がった方がいい
What? No, not really. I don't want you to be scared. Still, before noon, the high-flying sun. The skies of January above and beyond the windshield. Skies so blue that they seemed almost in mourning. We had no destination. On that cold day with an alien clutch and a swerving car. On that day when we drove onto the highway in our pyjamas. On that very day of winter. Oh, January 90, 2000, Ibaraki. Oh, in Ibaraki. Oh, cool. Mito Highway. Around when the blazing high sun had changed into a dusky orange. I love the music in this. We were continuing to drive, just driving in any direction at random. And in a place that I did not recognise, we were stopping for a bit. Finally brought the car to a halt. A roadside somewhere far away from civilization. No traffic anywhere to be seen. Lonely. Having stopped the car in this nameless place, I started inspecting around the cabin. If there was anything useful here, we'd just run off without any perpetration at all, but there was something troubling leaping at me. With that in my mind, I first scoured the dashboard. There's nothing here at all. A couple hundred yen cluttered around the gear stick, a few manga volumes and a cheap disposable camera. It wasn't as if we had a destination, but the onboard GPS navigation system looked broken. And I only had about 8,000 yen on me. That's all the money I had lying around when I up and left. So combined with the pocket change I found, I only had 9,000 yen or so. Of course, I hadn't really expected there to be anything in the car anyway. This lack of money presented a problem. It wouldn't be possible for us to find lodging on this budget. It didn't seem likely that this girl would have any money on her either.
どうかした？
No, it's nothing. Ah, whatever. I'd half expected this from the beginning. It wasn't as if I'd thought this through enough to have things like a plan or a schedule. I just wanted to get out right then and there. I didn't want to stay anywhere I was. Underneath the curtain of twilight, I started up the silver coupe again. Hey, you hungry? I asked her as I drove along. Come to think of it, she hadn't eaten anything since morning. What, stop at a convenience store or something?
いや、
Hey, don't be like that. The food's much better than anything up on 7F. She did not respond to me. Instead, she looked straight down and the pink pajamas she was wearing. Oh yeah, that's right. I looked down at my own clothing. Sure enough, in these pajamas, we'd be conspicuous no matter where we went. Not that we weren't conspicuous right now. In any case, we had to do something about them. And having made my decision, I steered back towards civilization. After a little more driving, we arrived in a place whose name I didn't know. Probably somewhere close to a rail station. Certainly enough people around for it to be the case. There's got to be one around here somewhere. I looked around anxiously as I drove. My back pitched a little forward, not touching the seat. Ah, there one is. There one is. There is one. Come on. Please don't do this to me now. At last, a coin laundromat. It looked pretty run down from the outside on the first floor of a small forlorn building. This is a good place as any. I stopped the car not far from the entrance to this place. Alright, I'll be back in a second. Oh! Leaving her and confused face in the car, I walked into the laundromat. My nose was filled with the smell of bleach and detergent the moment the automatic doors opened. The exterior of the laundromat had told no lie. The washers and dryers were old and run down as well. There's nobody here. The empty laundromat swallowed whole my murmured words. Oh wow, that's loud. Only a single dryer was in operation, making its characteristic humming noises. I immediately walked to that machine and checked its timer. It looked like it would operate for 30 minutes on 200 yen. And only 5 minutes had elapsed so far. Wherever it was, probably gone somewhere else to kill time. Some time. Ruminating over this, I looked around just one more time to reassure myself that there was no one around. Then, satisfied that I was all alone, I put my hand on the door handle of that drying machine, and I abruptly opened it. Chonk. Its door opened. During operation, the dryer spun down to a force halt. I pulled the clump of half-dry clothing, ignoring the heat and humidity. God damn. And after looking around once more to make sure no one was around, I walked out the laundromat just like that. Okay, we stole some clothes. She sounded slightly surprised when she saw miles full of clothing. But I threw the clothes in the back seat without a word. Alright, let's go. And off we go again. I looked back at the bundle of clothes with the steering wheel in one hand. Gaudy looking sweaters and jeans, and almost nothing else. All in pretty big sizes at that. But all still wet. The car's heating would dry them out soon. Change into whatever you like later. What if I just picked out all guy clothes or all girl clothes? I don't know. She didn't react much to those words either. She just looked back at the pile of clothes. Look, we had no choice.
分かってるわよ。
Obviously, it wasn't as if I'd liked doing this kind of thing. And it wasn't as if there was anything I was saving that money for. It was just given that the amount we had, it would be very difficult to buy new clothes. After I'd driven around for a bit, around when the moon shone full above us, I stopped the car next to some public park. Probably a place for children to play, tucked away in the corner of a residential area. And there, I started looking through the clothes I'd stolen some time back. They were mostly dry by now, thanks to the heating in the car. All men's clothing, after all. Oh, it is all men's, god damn it. I'd expected to heat once before, a veritable amount of gaudy jeans and sweaters. Probably someone around my age, around the same size looked like. And sitting in the driver's seat of the car, I changed into a pair of jeans and a sweater. Hey, you should get changed too.
これも大きすぎる。
Then will you go on wearing pyjamas forever?
分かった。
She ushered reluctantly, grabbed some jeans and other clothes and opened the door. Hey, where are you going?
着替えてくる。
And just like that, she started walking into the park's bathroom. Hey, that was fast. She'd come back in a short order. The pink pyjamas that she'd been wearing in her hands, a white shirt and a pair of jeans on her body. Well, that turned out fairly well. No answer, I'd expected this. But everything was too big and baggy on her. The jeans were too long and rolled up far at the cuffs, and the sleeves of the shirt were much the same way.
パジャマのままの方が良かった。
Come now, don't say that. It's a little warmer this way, at least. She made an only slightly dissatisfied face at my words. Oh, is that it? Were you hoping for more girlish clothes?
別に。
Right, the same response as ever. I was sure that she was unhappy with her baggy shirt, but she soon returned to her usual lack of expression. Swish. It had begun to rain all of a sudden. A freezing rain falling from the frigid January sky as if it had forgotten how to stop. The countless raindrops splattering on the windshield and obscuring the view from the inside. And when each grew too large for surface tension to hold up, a few of them gathered, slid down, became rivers. And these rivers swallowed up raindrops underneath them and ran to the bottom. I stared emptily at the rain from inside. A parking lot somewhere, a desolate place in the middle of the mountains. Having finished shopping at a convenience store, we were spending the night here. The dinner menu, 2 rice balls, 500ml Pocari Sweat, half a bag of potato chips. It's been a long time since we last did anything like this. She moaned with a convenience store rice ball in one hand. It wasn't anything of wonderful quality, but it was far better than anything served up in 7F, I'm sure. And when we were both going after the potato chips, she suddenly stopped reaching for it. Something the matter?
別に。
But her eyes were turned past the windshield glazed by the rain. After a few white flowers on the roadside? Narcissu. As sunflowers soaked by rain. I didn't know if someone had planted them or if they were wild, but I remembered something about them. Were those the Narcissu?
ナルキソス。
Narcissus. Whoops. Alright, Narcissus. While I didn't know flower names all that well, I'd at least heard of Narcissus before. And this girl who seldom spoke a single word was actually talking about something. And so I followed along. Speaking of which, are these not exactly the real deal as well?
厳密には違う。
So they must be pretty rare then.
別に。どこにでもあるわよ。
Anywhere? Where exactly? It wasn't as if I had any deep purpose in asking. It was just that I was making conversation as best I could. And yet this girl thought about it for a bit. Slowly opened her mouth.
西。
West?
淡路島が有名。
Ah. Awaji Island? Hey, wait. How far away do you think that is? I just started driving the car, so I wasn't even halfway proficient yet. It was probably about 700 kilometers away. And even on tollways, I couldn't say how long it would take. And in the first place, I didn't think we had enough money for that. If we went by normal highways instead of the tollways, there was no way we'd have enough for gas. Hey, don't say stuff like that. You can't mean to go there, right?
誰が行きたいなんて言ったの。
I just did, didn't I? What?
問われたから答えただけ。
And just like that, she went back to staring at the flowers across the windshield. The thick haze of cold rain streaming on glass, she kept gazing and gazing and gazing. I didn't particularly want to go there either, but I had nowhere else that I wanted to go. Okay. Alright, I'm actually going to end this episode here, guys. I feel like this is going to be a real heartbreaker. I can feel it coming so badly. But I'm going to end this episode here because I've been playing this for over half an hour, probably even more than that now. So all I've got to say now, guys, is thank you so much for watching this part of Narcissu. I finally know how to say it now, according to the game anyway. And I hope you enjoyed this part of Narcissu, and I'll see you in the next video. So let's go, guys. I will indeed see you next time. I must say, this is going to break my heart. I could just feel it coming.